Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ah, there we go. All right, we've got sound. Okay, so this has been a really crazy day. For some reason, my video will not work. And good thing is today's talk, I put together some slides. But my Thursday night classes, I kind of like y'all to see me, right? But today it's just been one of those days. No matter what I've done, I have not been able to get video to work on any platform, and it actually caused me to miss my award live stream today because I was selected as a Junior Achievement Impact winner from the David Meltzer's 2 minute drill, and we couldn't connect. Nothing I tried would allow me to connect video wise, and so it kept kicking me out of the system. And so I don't know what's going on. I know it's a weird thing because when I played StreamYard's little music, it played and you heard it just fine. It's got my screen up, but my camera will not connect. So please, 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 if you're watching this, hang with me. Um, I don't know what happened, and but we're gonna figure it out. But for now, I've decided I'm gonna stop letting the devil fight me in being able to actually get you all the content. See, this has been happening a lot on Thursday nights, and sometimes I just say, okay, well, I can't do it. So, so you know, we're not gonna keep letting that happen. We're gonna find a way. All right. So, anyway, today we're going to talk about how to make your first $1,000 writing a book. And again, for those of you who are used to seeing me, I'm sorry that I'm not on, but this is just what it's going to have to be for today because we're getting this done. All right. I promised the people who are in my Finally Write That Book class that we were going to have a bonus class. I sent it out. Hold on. I'm getting an error on free conference call. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, recording has started. Okay. So, going back to what I was saying, and I really hope you guys are hanging with me. I have no way of knowing it or not because none of the cameras are communicating with me. And I'm almost afraid to go check the comments because I don't want to have an issue. But I promised the people in my Finally Write That Book class that I would do a bonus class on actually making money once you've written the book. Okay. That's what this is tonight. It's also our 7 figure business building, which is our every second Thursday. We go over a new technique or stream of income that you can add to your portfolio that will help you achieve your financial independence. See, we don't want to just start with one thing. Like if we have a day job and we're working for a corporation or a school district or something, that's one stream of income. If you're like me and you're no longer in that job space, you have other streams of income. Okay, you have other ways of making money. Some of us don't have any way of making money, and I always encourage folks to find a way to make a living or to get the things they want. Money doesn't isn't always what you need. Wait, that's not coming out right. You don't need money to have an abundant life. That's what I mean to say. But money is very useful in having an abundant life, in creating the life that you want, in being a blessing to the people you want to be a blessing to. And quite frankly, having some money in your pocket frees you of a whole lot of toxicity. Okay. So I very much encourage everybody under the sound of my voice to take a look at some of these additional streams of income that we cover in the 7 figure business building. Because what I want for you is to be able to try things that will outlive the other streams. So when COVID shut down, a lot of people who had businesses like me with coaching and speaking and teaching online, those businesses exploded. Well, guess what? And in many parts of this country, things are going back to normal, and a lot of that is starting to draw down. Revenues from Zoom summits and things like that, they're all starting to draw down. People are itching to get outside. They don't want to be stuck to the computer. And it's up to us to be able to shift and adapt to the market. Well, writing a book or any of the other streams of income that we're covering in our 7 figure business series, these are things that shift with the market. So when one goes down, another goes up, and when one goes down, a third one goes up. And so you have multiple streams of income that are unrelated to each other, complementary to your goal, complementary to your calling, but they're different streams of income. And so even if you've never thought about writing a book before, I want to encourage you. We have a new program. It's not going to be online this year. I thought it might be, but I got to get this doctorate done, y'all. We got a new program coming online next year that will help you write your book. And of course, y'all know I'm always doing my anthologies, Healing My Sisters, the dating book, and that now we're launching the wealth book. So we've got these anthologies in place. But even if you're wanting to write your own book cover to cover, which I advise many people to, if you're my age or older, or even a little bit younger now, I guess I need to stop saying that. um, but if you have a certain level of maturity, you can really write a book that will help somebody else because you've been there, you've had experience. Okay, so in any event, the course that I want to direct you to that is a grounding foundation for what I'm going to talk about tonight is Finally Write That Book. Okay, you don't need that class to enjoy tonight. And what we're going to talk about tonight is going to help you in many areas of life, not just books. But if you want to understand the foundation of how to actually get that book off the ground, or if you've been saying one day I'm gonna, and you haven't been able to yet, well, this class will show you why you haven't been able to. And you can do that at jjclink.com/finally. Now, I can't see you and you can't see me today. So I'm going to ask you to work with me a little more to put your comments in the banner, I mean in the chat. Put your comments in the chat, put your questions in the chat. I'm hesitant to click to my JJ Conway form because I don't know what went wrong and I don't want to mess anything else up. All right, I already can't get my camera on. If I click away from this backstage and then I can't get back to you, I'm just going to be so sad. So we're not going to do that today. Just put your comments or your questions in the chat, in the comment section on Facebook, in the comment section on YouTube. It will pop up in the backstage and I'll be able to answer your question. Okay. So here's what I'm going to talk about today. We are starting late because of all these camera snafus. So I'm going to see how far I get. My intention is to get through all of this, but we will see. I mean, if y'all have a lot of questions, we're not going to get through all this. Wait, no. That don't mean to say don't ask questions. I want you to ask questions. Like I don't want to talk through all this and nobody's got a question, right? Because if I talk through all this and nobody's got a question, well, then I don't know if I'm hitting the mark for you. I don't know if I'm giving you what you really need, right? You could be sitting on the audience today. How many people have I got on? But across all the platforms that I'm streaming on right now, I got like 12 people. Okay, first of all, that's not a whole lot, but I'm glad you're here. It's probably because I'm starting half an hour late. So I'm gonna be thankful that you are on with me today. But if all 12 of you already know what I'm about to talk about, well, okay, so now somebody else come in. Yay. But if all y'all know what I'm about to talk about, it doesn't do me any good to tell you stuff that you already know. Okay, so ask your questions in the chat. And I want to thank whoever that is. Thank you for being here today. All right, so we're going to talk about what not to do. I get this a lot as a financial planner. I see this scenario over and over and over and over. If you are ever motivated to do something that's about what I'm about to tell you don't do, please don't do it. Just remember that I said don't do it. And say, well, JJ said don't do it. Talk to me first. Get on my calendar. Book you. That it's only $25. Book you a little business consult. We will go through your business concept and your business consult, and I will help you craft a way to do what you want to do. All right, so that's gonna be the next couple slides. I'm gonna talk real quick about royalties and advances. Okay, normally to get advances, you gotta have something in place. You've got to be good at selling books. You've got to have a sizable platform or something like that. But I'm still going to mention it just a little bit when we talk about royalties. I'm going to talk about your press kit. I'm going to talk about getting interviews. We're going to talk about book signings. We're going to talk about what to do if you're in an anthology. So you didn't write the book cover to cover, and um, some of these advertising and marketing outlets really only want to work with authors who've written a book cover to cover. We're going to talk about what to do if you just dipped your toe in the water. You always you had a message. You always wanted to help people. You got a message to share with the world. and then you finally take that leap. It feels like such a leap, doesn't it? You're just sharing your soul, you're bearing your soul, you're putting it all out there in black and white, and you finally took that first step, and you're part of an anthology, and then you want to go set up something and sell at the bookstore or sell here or sell there, and people don't want to hear it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to get around that. Okay, so you can make your money. All right. Then I'm gonna got a few little great ideas that other people have heard that I wasn't sure what category to put it in, but I thought it was quite ingenious. So we're just gonna do a little hodgepodge there of ideas at the end, depending on our time. If we run out of time, don't worry. I'm gonna give you my text number through this, my new business text. I'm gonna give you that number through this. You'll be able to text me and let me not forget that you want part two. Okay. I'm not gonna broadcast part two because I got other broadcasts in the queue. All right. If you go out to Building Wealth, oh, what is it on Meetup? Build Wealth with JJ. And if you go to my Building Wealth Together group, you'll see that every Thursday I've got another topic. Now, next year, I might space that out a little bit because one of the things I've discovered, it doesn't give me a lot of time to loop back around for a bonus session or a part two or part three if people got a lot of questions. So I got to figure that out for 2023. But for now, we're going to keep to the regular schedule that's public. And if you want more, I'm not going to charge you because I said I was going to talk about it publicly and free. But I'm not going to make that public and disrupt the cycle. I hope that makes sense for you today. All right. So here's what I'm not going to talk about today. And if you're interested in these kinds of things, then I'm going to recommend that you either go back and get my Finally Write That Book class, right? The Finally Write That Book class covers some of it, but a lot of this I learned through Greg and Julie Gorman's publishing class, and they talked about the book structure. So those of you who've been reading my books since I published the first one back in, what was it, the year 2000, I think it was, when I did the fundraising book, you'll notice that my newer books have more of a structure to them, and they follow kind of a template. Well, I got that from Greg and Julie. All right. They and I'm not going to talk about constructing the book. I'm not going to talk about how to physically publish it. I'm not going to talk about how to go to the book fairs and get and pay to play to get good forwards. I'm not going to talk about all that stuff today. Okay. I'm not going to talk about being a bestseller. And I know everybody's an Amazon bestseller and they slap that number one bestseller gold seal on their book. And I do it too when I'm part of a project that becomes an Amazon bestseller. You better believe I slap that gold seal on my book, but it's really not going to help you make your first $1,000. And we'll talk about that a little bit if anybody wants me to dig into that. If you don't already understand that, then I'll let you know. But it's really not going to help you unless you're the one who's putting the anthology together. All right. Um, I'm not going to talk about how to get a traditional publisher on your side, although I am going to talk about royalties and advances because when people think about making money with a book, that's what they think of. But I'm not going to talk about how you present yourself to a traditional publisher, although a lot of what I'm going to talk about today will help you get a traditional publisher to publish your book without you having to pay, and maybe they even give you an advance. Okay. So I'm going to talk about first what not to do, and I've made all of these mistakes except for reusing an ISBN because when I first started, I was publishing through Lulu, and their ISBNs were free. Amazon does not give you an ISBN. They give you their own version of an ISBN, but you can pay for an ISBN. But I didn't want to do that. It wasn't worth it to me for what I'm using a book for. Okay, so again, um, um, these are some things don't do. You don't want to design your own cover. And I designed many of my own covers, sometimes because the book I'm writing is for a conference or it's for a special event. It's not for putting it out there in the bookstore and that cover catching people's eye and they say, "Ooh, I want to buy that." Like these are people like I've already been paid for the book, right? So sometimes I will throw a cover on there because I already know something that people aren't going to read it, first of all, and two, I've already been paid for it by the conference planners, right? So but don't do that if you're trying to sell a book, because you know what, most of us are not good at designing a cover that's going to catch people's eyes and get them to pick up the book. We think we are. Oh, and we love to look, y'all, I put my face on just about every book I can put it on, right? But some of these things are just not very good for selling if you want to sell in a traditional sense, okay? Also, don't assume that just because something looks good on your computer that it looks good when it prints. You want to print first. I have made that mistake. Oh, I've made that mistake. I've made all these mistakes. Don't use novelty typefaces, all the swirlies and the curlies and the cool this and the cool that, and it looks so great on the page. But you want to use something that's standard, that's going to get you into the bookstore, or that's at least going to print out the way you want it to. And then this last one, I learned that the hard way too. Don't do your own editing. Now, the very, very last thing I'm going to tell you right now, please, 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 I got it down there 3 times. Do not do what I'm about to say on this next slide, y'all. Okay? Do not. I did my slides back around. I did all that build up. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to edit this part out. And I know I'm not gonna have time to edit, so please forgive me. Um, After I wrote the slides, I found these cool quotes by other professionals. And so I was rolling when I saw this from Tony Dearkins that says all it takes to publish a book is money. And he is somebody that helps people self-publish, and he's published quite a few himself. But he said all it takes to publish a book is money. And this is what else he said. Anyone with a computer can publish a book. It's easy. It's also much easier to do it wrong. And let me tell you one of the ways we do it wrong. Okay. We know we're an unknown author. We've got a lot of heart, a lot of message to say. So we know we're not going to get picked up, or maybe we've been rejected. Our manuscript's been rejected. Oh, I hate those rejection letters. I don't know if y'all have ever had one, but it's just so disheartening when you get that back and they're like, sorry, we're not going to publish you. Or I've even had people write back, this is not a good fit. And I'm thinking, well, you published other stuff like it, why won't you publish mine? Um, it's a horrible, horrible feeling. So then you say, I'm just going to go do it myself. And you go to the vanity press. You go to the vanity press, and what do they say? Oh, well, $10,000. You're gonna get this package. We're gonna put you on these TV shows and these radio interviews, and you're gonna get 10,000 copies of your book, and you're gonna be able to sell them all for $20 a pop. And boom, now you've made $200,000 this year. Don't what? Hey, I'm missing a slide. You got to be kidding me. This is a good slide. What happened to my slide? Ah, man, I don't know what happened to my slide. Oh, no, 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 no. And now I clicked out of it. So now you guys, I don't know if you guys can see the actual me editing it, but I'm like, where did that slide go? Yeah, I feel so embarrassed. I almost feel like I want to start that back up just so just so I can edit the thing, but I already know I'm not going to have time to edit it. So let me put this back in. Let me put it back in. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Please don't leave. Okay, there we go. Here's what I'm saying. Please don't do. Don't let them talk you into buying thousands of copies of your book, not even 500 copies of your book. And they fill your head with all these visions. You're gonna sell it out. All your friends are gonna buy one. Your mama's gonna buy one. Everybody you know is gonna buy one. Everybody at work's gonna buy one. Everybody at church is gonna buy one. You're gonna get on these TV shows. You're gonna get these interviews with the radios, and then you're gonna sell out in a week, and you're gonna be placing orders, and we will be very, very happy to sell you more at just $5, $6 a pop. Do not let this happen to you. I have had so many people come to me who come to me for financial planning, and they've got these garages or these basements full of books. Okay, we want to do things the right way. We don't want to do them the way that puts you back into debt, that puts you back into bondage. I don't want you coming home looking at these $2 million, not $2 million, but this room full of boxes and boxes and boxes of books, and you don't know how to sell them. Even the books that I've made the most money off of, my 40 Dates in 4 Months book, I think that's maybe sold 2,000 copies. And I hawk that book every time I do a singles event. Okay? So please don't do that. Okay? We're going to talk about how to do it right, um but I just don't want you to make that mistake. Okay? I want you to not lose money. My goal for you is to make money, not lose money. All right? So let me talk a little bit real quick about making money with a book. Okay? So how are you going to make money with a book? Okay. So when you publish a book, whether or not you self-publish or go through a publishing house, you're going to have some books to sell. They're going to have some of your books, and they sell. And when they sell your book, they basically get the profit. And then they cut you a little piece of that. That little piece is called the royalty. Okay. It's usually not very much. I think for 40 dates in 4 months, I think that book sells for $10. And I think every time it sells on Amazon, I get like $1.50 or something like that, and maybe $1. I think the Kindle version, I get 38 cents. And it's funny because I'll look at my bank account, my speaking, and I have bank accounts for my different businesses. So I have one for speaking and I have one for my book sales. And it cracks me. Okay, yeah, speaking and book orderings. Oh no, I combined them all. That's right, I did combine them all. But it cracks me up when I go in there and I see that Amazon paid me 38 cents, $13. But, if they're doing that every day, I mean, that's not what I normally get. Like my normal Amazon is maybe like, 10 to $30 a day, but that's still not a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's still not a lot, but when I do chuckle when I see the 38 cents in there. I get 38 cents a lot. I don't know which book it is that I get 38 cents on. I'm thinking it's the 40 dates because that's the cheaper one. But you know, I make enough of Amazon royalties to go shopping on Amazon. I'm great about that. When I use my affiliate program through Amazon, I make a lot more with Amazon, but it's not enough to eat off of. Okay. And so you want to understand the fee structure, and each one has a different fee structure. And so if you're going to sell a book through a publisher, they're going to tell you, if we do this stuff, you'll get this much of royalties. And if we do this little bit of stuff and you do more work, you'll get more royalty. Amazon has a two-tier system. They have one royalty program. I think it's 99 cents or below is one royalty structure. Actually, I should just go in there and look. I should just go in there and look and make sure, because I forget if it's dollar amount or if whatever it is, you can get more, but it takes more. Okay. And that's what I really mean to say. I don't need to go into it right now. If you're in the class, finally write that book, that when I go through the create space, it shows you how to pick. And Amazon's interesting. They do the analysis to show you which one, and they give you a chart. I wish y'all could see me right now, because I would physically hold up these products that I have here, and these charts and things that I have here for you. But I can't get my camera to work. But they show you a bell, not a bell chart, yeah, maybe it's a bell chart. They show you a graph, and where the graph maximizes, that's where you hit the sweet spot between price and profit. Sometimes lower price means more profit, but sometimes lower price means less profit. Sometimes higher price means more profit, but sometimes higher price means less profit. And so they give you a graph that shows you. It's actually pretty cool. All right. So you just want to make sure you know what you're getting into, and you don't do like I did. Like I just knew. Y'all, the first book that I published that was a paperback, that was the fundraising book. Oh, so the fundraising book was the first one. That's right. The trustee book was the second one. Yeah, I got those backwards. Okay, yeah. So the first one I did that wasn't like a claw bound or anything like that was the fundraising book, and I just knew. I just knew if I built it, they would come. They didn't, y'all. So we got to understand how it works, and we got to make sure that we go into it with eyes wide open. Okay, don't count on this if you're not already selling a lot. If you don't already have a big following, don't count on this. Okay. Okay, so a lot of other people are like, well, I'm not going to self-publish, because once you get the self-publish stink on you, you can never go back to being traditional published. And I want to get paid big money, and I want those advances. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but you can go back and you can take a look at the slide, because I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. But basically, what an advance is the publisher thinks they're going to make a lot of money, so they want to incentivize you to finish that book, and they pay you a little something, or maybe you've got some research you need to do, or whatever it is. But you got to remember, if they give you an advance, that's an advance. That whatever you make from your book, they're going to take that back before they give you any more money, right? And so I did an example here. If they, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, that's like a normal advance amount. Now, I've never gotten one of those. I'm just going to be truth in advertising, but I know people who have. And if you're making a royalty of $125, I mean, $1.25 per book. I wish I was making a royalty of $125. If you're making a royalty of $1.25 per book, which I think is pretty average, depending on who's selling it and publishing it for you, um, you got to sell 4,000 books before you make the publisher back what they paid you as an advance. So again, I'm not saying this isn't great. If you advance enough in your writing career to get an advance, well, hey, you're going to sell a lot more than 4,000 books, generally speaking, because the publishers generally looking for people who are good at selling books. So they've either sold a lot of books, or they have a huge platform, or they have a name for having sold a lot of other things, or they can tell when they talk to you, you got the personality to sell. Okay, some of us do, some of us don't. Okay, anyone can learn to sell. I really believe that. You know why I believe that? Because I'm learning to sell, and I'm not a natural salesperson. And so I've had to learn how to sell some things, and I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still growing. I'm learning new things every day, right? But there's going to have to be some social proof there before you're going to get these advances. But you can make the connections and you can get the advances. But again, I'm not teaching you how to get connected with those traditional publishers. And I highly recommend if they, whenever they come back to it, I know they're on another project right now, but if they ever come back to teaching that class, you jump on it. It's well worth its money, by Greg and Julie Gorman. Okay. So how are you going to make your first $1,000? Well, before you make any money, I'm going to encourage you to really put together your press kit. I'm going to encourage you to put together a one sheet that really talks about some different things, like what's the theme of your book? What are the major themes of your book? What's the platform? What's the audience going to get out of your book? Let me stay on theme for a second. What's the audience going to get out of your book? Why are they going to pick up your book? Now, granted, you don't want to make this 20 pages, right? It needs to be clearly communicated on a one sheet of what the theme of the book is. And then you want to talk about your platform. You want to talk about your platform being your social media presence, your subscribers to your email list. If you still have one of those mailing lists, all of that comprises your platform. And then you want to highlight you. A lot of this, like any other business, I wish I would have known this 20 years ago. A lot of it is you. You're not selling the book so much as you're selling you, but you're selling the book, but by selling the book, you're selling you. Okay? Because the publisher or the press, whoever's going to pick up your book, they want to have a confidence that they bring you into their stage. They bring you into their radio show. They bring you onto their platform, that you are going to deliver, that you are going to have what the audience needs. That you're going to have a presence that encourages and uplifts and meets the needs. Or if it's now I say encourage and lift because that's the kind of people I try to be on their platforms. But there's all kinds of platforms out there. Um, there's all kinds of, uh, you know, word choices, and there's all kinds of backgrounds and themes and all that stuff. Whoever it is you want to book you, that's where you want this one sheet to really sing to. And it's okay to have different one sheets for different um, approaches. So like if I'm doing, like, let's say my 40 dates book. Okay, well, that's not really good. It's not really the best one because, well, let's just use it because it's in front of me right now. I'm going to market the 40 dates book. There's a couple of places I can market this book, a couple of groups, a couple of types of podcasters, a couple of types of TV shows. So I've been on TV with this book, and I've been on TV with this book for Valentine's Day, and I've been on radio with this book. I've been on many podcasts with this book. I've been on all these other different things. So I could go to um, Valentine's Day with this book. I could go towards singles, just just singles in general. Okay, I could go to single again, the more mature population, right? And each one of those is going to have a different look and feel. So if I'm going for a younger generation, well, I might make my one sheet a little bit more vibrant, right? With more colors, more modern themes. But if I'm going for a more mature audience, it's the same book, but I might go with more patriotic colors, okay? But the bottom line is when they look at that one sheet, when whoever's the press, whoever's the interviewer, when they look at that one sheet, they should be able to tell who you are, what you stand for in the context of this book, what this book is about, what it's going to do for their audience. Okay. And you can take the themes and the ideas from that one sheet and you can make book cards, which are like your business cards that you pass out. You can even make them into bookmarks and things like that, which is handy, if you're at a big conference or something like that. And then you can take that one sheet with those themes and stuff and you can extract from that and use it for ad copy and expand on each of the themes, expand on each of the benefits of your book. Okay. So you want to put together a little press kit. And let me see if I can show you mine. Now, mine is not book specific. Okay. I hope you guys will give me that. Um, let's see if I have it here. Media. Well, I don't even know what my own link is. That's hilarious. Um, JJ Conway press kit. I should probably make that a lot easier. Okay, well, at least the first thing that came up was JJ Conway press kit. All right, so let me see if I can share you this. I'm going to stop sharing that one, and then I'm going to share this one. Bear with me, bear with me. Don't leave, don't leave. I know I can't get my camera working. Sorry about that, but we're doing the best we can with what we got. Okay, let's see. It's not letting me select that window, so let me back out a second and see if I can make it its own window. Maybe StreamYard needs me to do that. Don't leave, don't leave. This is going to be cool. So what I did was I put my one sheet, I put my press kit on Teachable. It can be accessed without, I thought it was sharing. It's not. I'm sitting here talking and it's not even there. Okay, here we go. Um, I I have my one sheet and all my media stuff on Teachable. Originally, I tried to make it where people would have to, it was free, but they'd have to give me their email address. Well, I don't do that anymore. You can just go out there and get it because I want to be easy to work with, okay? This is my one sheet. Of course, you can see from it it's not book specific, okay? Because I don't really, my books aren't, they're not as lucrative as the speaking for me. And so they're how I got started. And I use them to help book speaking engagements, but it's the speaking. But you can see here, this is my media kit. I've got some headshots that are, there we go. I've got different headshots that people can use, right? Depending on, like, I like to have a lot of different colors and ideas because, maybe you're putting together something where this bright jacket doesn't work, you know, or maybe you're putting together for, so then I've got this jacket. I've got, I've got some different outfits, right? And hopefully you guys can see that there. I've got my most popular talks and things, and I guess I need to change this because its self-image has changed. Oops, I gotta do this. I've got how to book. Okay, they can click here and book. All right, they can click here and book. And then I've got different things here. I've got my sizzle reel, all of that stuff is there. And you can put something like this together for your book. Now, please don't feel overwhelmed by this. Really, all you really need for your marketing is a one sheet and maybe a headshot. And you can go on Wix or something and put that together for free. You could even put that on your Facebook. Okay. I mean, I've had people where they've spoken in my conferences and I've actually pulled their headshots and stuff from Facebook and Instagram. So you can do all that. All right. I'm going to stop sharing that screen and I'm going to go back to sharing my slides. Please don't leave. If you're just coming in, this is, for some reason, my camera's not working today. So we're just doing adapt and overcome. And we've been talking about press kits. Okay. So the press kit is going to help you make more money because the press kit presents you as a professional to people that can put you in a position to make money. All right. So it's not that you can't make money without a press kit. My first 3 books, I didn't know what a press kit was. All right. My first couple of paid speaking engagements, I didn't know what a press kit was. I didn't know what a one sheet was. I just went on the speaker match and I applied and they paid me and I had a great time. Right. And so if that's something you're interested in, reach out to me. I can give you a discount on, I can give you a link that gets you like a month free or something like that on speaker match. But this is something if you're trying to maximize your money. So if you're that mom who only has a little bit of time every night to work on your business, you want to maximize your time. And this is the kind of thing that'll help you maximize your time. All right. Okay, so now you got your press kit together. The next step is to go out there and get heard. Your book is not going to be a best kept secret. It'll be a secret, all right, and you'll be secretly empty in your bank account. And we don't want that. We want you to get all kinds of goodness coming your way from this book. So you got to get out there. You know, a lot of places, radio's still big. Getting on TV is still good. Podcasts are very effective. And there's ways that you can create your own. You're going to see that I use this phrase, create your own, quite a bit because a lot of the effort has to be on you. So let's talk a little bit about all of these, okay? And so a lot of radio and TV, oh man, if you are a member of our Black Queens book club, I did a a thing on Stevie Aisha Mills' book, Seven Top Secrets Every Publicist Knows to Get Featured on the News. And so, what you're going to do is you're going to learn who you've got to speak to at the station. You've got to understand what the audience is, what's their avatar. Each station, each radio station, and each TV station, they are they are designed to speak into the soul of a particular segment of the population. Okay. They even ones that say that they're presenting everything in a very fair manner, a lot of times they aren't because they're presenting it with a slant towards whoever it is that mostly watches or listens to them. So you want to figure out who that is, and you want to make sure it's the right audience. Not because you don't want to waste your time speaking to the wrong audience, but you're going to have a better chance of getting on the show if what you're presenting with your book is aligned with what their audience wants. Okay. So you want to be able to very clearly communicate why they want to interview you. And then you want to be able to communicate that you're going to bring it, that you're going to bring the energy. So that's why your one sheet is so important. Okay. And so, with the radio and the TV interviews that I've done, it has almost always been simple as reaching out. There's been a couple of times where they've reached out to me, like y'all have seen. Some of y'all have seen on my son's my son's YouTube channel. Doug Warner came to our house and interviewed my son for his segment, The Good Stuff. I don't even know how we got submitted to that. I don't know how that happened. I suspect it was one of the news anchors who saw my son at one of our trade shows that we do. And I'm not even sure, but whoever you are, thank you, thank you, thank you. But they reached out to me and said, hey, somebody told us you would be a good fit for this, and we'd like to interview your son. And that's how he got on TV. And so that happens sometimes, but that wouldn't. Yep, I think it may have been Dominique. I don't know for sure, and I don't want to offend anybody if it wasn't her, but I'm pretty sure that the way that came about was we were at a trade show, and somebody there who was affiliated with the news heard me talking about Philip and said, hey, that sounds interesting. We're looking for young people to highlight. And so the when I'm telling you this story is that it's not always you get discovered. See, we think that we're going to get discovered because we're so amazing. There are a lot of amazing people. I find them all the time and I interview them on my podcast. Such amazing people that you've never even heard of. They're doing amazing things. They've got amazing insights. They were able to get $100,000 of donations for themselves to go to college. They were able to go here and create this multinational company from rural Texas. Like there's all these people out there that do these amazing things and nobody's ever heard of them. So you can't count on being discovered. You got to make the process of being discovered welcome in your life by getting yourself out there. Okay. And so radio, TV, podcasts, I have a little get interviewed list of places that get interviewed without paying anything. Okay. There have been times where I've paid for some marketing, but a lot of these things you can do at no charge. And when I first started out, I did all of that at no charge. So when we're talking about how to make your first $1,000, I don't want you paying $2,000 for this interview, and you don't already have a following, and you don't already have a newsletter mailing list, and you don't already have book sales under your belt. I don't want you paying all that unless you've already earned that money. You know your book concept is great. You know it resonates with the audience, and you're pulling from your profit to take it to the next level. I know some people are like, go big or go home. I'm gonna take out these loans. I'm gonna do this big, massive blitz of the marketplace, and I'm gonna be super wealthy. But guess what? Most of those people come back to someone like me and say, I biffed it. I'm 100, 600, 700, $1.2 million in debt, and I need you to help me get out. Okay, so that's why I don't teach those strategies. But you can get on the radio, you can get on TV, you can get on podcasts. If you want to know how to do it without spending anything, you can text me at 254 527 5552. Okay. It's actually 2545 Ask JJC. I thought that was pretty cool, right? But you can text me at that number and you put podcast in there, and that will take you to my list of where to get interviews. It's called podcast. You text podcast to me because podcasts are the main bulk of that list is podcasts that will interview and how to find them at no charge. Okay. All right. So that's interviews. I think I've covered that pretty well. If you've got a question, drop it in the chat or the comments, and I will definitely try to answer it. Okay. Book signings. Book signings are a great way to sell books. I mean, so many of the books I bought them because the author was there signing them, and I just can't resist a piece of history, y'all, especially if it's something good. And sometimes I've seen an author sitting there and I have just bought the book because they were sitting there, and maybe they reminded me in my past, or they reminded me of a parent or a loved one or something, or maybe I just felt drawn to them. And I tell you what, anytime that I have done that, it's always been a fantastic book. So you may not feel like you know anybody or that you're going to do well with this, but you have no idea who the Lord might send your way. All right. Excuse me. So what we're going to talk about real quick is how to actually get somebody to let you have a book signing. And I'm going to tell you, this can be a little dicey. You got to have a little bit of thick skin, because a lot of times the answer is no, right? Because you don't know the person, or you have a book that's not a good fit, or they don't have the space, or they are booked up for 6 months, or any number of reasons. Okay. So what I'm going to share with you right now is going to help you get your foot in the door even more strongly. Okay. And so the very first thing that I'm going to suggest is, don't go to the bookstore and say, hey, I want to do a book signing here, and I want you to order 100 of my books so I can sit here and sign and sell them. Okay. That's going to make them take on all the risk. And if they don't already know you, like you, and trust you, they're not likely to take on that risk. All right. So if they're not likely to take on the risk, well, what can you do to make it more risk-free for them? Well, you can already have the books printed. You can bring one with you. You can have a couple of promo items like your one sheet, maybe some bookmarks that you're going to give out, and you can bring those with you when you talk to them. Okay. You can, instead of it just being a book signing, maybe you could do it something that's going to be interactive with the audience, like a Q&A or a workshop. All right. And when you're doing this, it's important to make it about the community. Okay. We all know you're really about trying to sell your books, and I don't fault you for that, because that's the premise of a lot of us. Now, granted, some of us write books and we want to help. Like when I did the trustee book, I never sold that for money. That was just for helping the church, right? And the fact that it sold, I was happy about, but it wasn't designed for that. And so sometimes it's not about the money, but it's about your own agenda, or that's how it might appear to the people that you ask about a book study. So you want to make it about the community, especially if they have a community focus. And bottom line, whether they're community focused or not, You want to get on their agenda. You want to understand what that bookstore's goal is. If you're going to another kind of business, and I actually recommend that, like if you don't seem to have a good footing with getting into one of the big box bookstores, right? Then I recommend trying to set up a book signing at some other place. Some restaurants will let you do a book signing at a if they have a little private room, they might let you do a book signing at a time that's not busy for them. Some where have I done book signings? I've gone, you know what? I've actually done a lot of trade shows, book signings, and coffee shops, and the if you're near a military base, anyone can sign up to vend. Now, how often they let you in and what percentage splits they make you, that you have to give them back for letting them use your space. Anybody can be an AAFES vendor as long as you have a clean record, okay? And sometimes you can't even if you don't. Like I love. Oh man, where's his book? Ah, I took it down. Um, I love when I see man, I can't remember his name, but there's this brother who comes into Walmart. He sells his books in Walmart, and he comes through. He makes his circuit. I think he comes to Stephenville once a year, comes to our Walmart once a year, and he sells his book about succeeding in life after being in jail, and it's phenomenal. Um, but you find a way to get on their agenda, and then once you can be in alignment with what they're trying to do, then you'll be able to more easily get on for them, get your agenda met. Okay. um let's talk about creating your own. I'm a big fan of this because I remember, man, this was like maybe 8 years ago or so. Well, it must have been 8 years ago because we did our first Building Wealth Together conference in 2015, I think, and we did our first Building Wealth Together conference in 2015. So that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's 8 years ago. Yeah. So, okay. So it would have been 14. It would have been before that. Les now told me if you can't find a stage to get on, make one. And I was like, what? He said, one of the best ways to get your clients is going to be keynote speaking. And if you can't find a stage that lets you keynote, create your own. And that's why we created Building Wealth Together. Simple as that. Like, I had no idea it was going to be so popular. In fact, I was really surprised. I used the first meeting of Building Wealth Together. It was a practice run for the Building Wealth Together conference that was coming up in a week or two, and I wanted to be able to practice my content. So I created a meeting, and everybody was in there that came from Meetup.com. I put it out on Meetup. I may have put it on Facebook, but I doubt it back then. And, people came, they enjoyed the content, and one individual pulls out his wallet and he says, "Is there a membership for this? Because I'd like to join, and all I've got in my wallet is $20." And I was like, "Yes, there's a membership, and this month it's $20 because it's the first meeting, and next month it'll be 30, and it's going to go up by $10 until we get to our final price," which I think at that time was $100 a year for Building Wealth Together, was the $100 a year. And with that, you got your recordings of the meetings and stuff like that. But yeah, create your own is very, very powerful. So you can create your own, like I was saying earlier, you can create your own in many places: bookstores, sundry stores, schools, churches. There's all kinds of places that you can create your own book signing. And what it comes down to is building a relationship with the person who's in charge of that space, or because we don't want to not be genuine, right? Like, we don't want to just make friends with people just to fake it so we can get a room, right? Like, I would never advocate that. But it helps to build relationships with people so that you can know what they need, and you can find a way to meet that need. And I was talking with somebody else the other day, and I was like, "Well, what about this?" Blah 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 blah. And they were like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." So you can find these creative ways, and you can create your own book signings. All right. And one of the ways that you can create your own book signing is by, oops, Let me just see something real quick. Okay, yeah, it's 2 slides from now. One of these ways that you can create your own book signings is you can also create your own book fair, and we'll talk about that in 2 slides from now. Okay. So the next slide we're going to talk about is anthologies, and I know most of you in my audience base knows what an anthology is because I've asked you to be in my anthologies a million times, and I'm going to ask you again today. Um, just forewarn you there. But for those of you who don't know what an anthology is an anthology is where bunch of different authors write a chapter or write a portion, and they put all those chapters or portions together into one book. Okay, so the Healing My Sister's book, which I wish I could show you, but my camera's not working. The Healing My Sister's book is an anthology. It was an anthology based on the it was an anthology based on the interviews of the women in my very first Healing My Sisters conference. I think we may have done a second book. We didn't do one this year because I just was time limited. But these are the kinds of things that you put them all together. So, so that book was great, and it sold a lot for domestic violence. I'm very happy about that. And hey, I'm glad you're there with us. Yes, you find creative ways to meet other people's needs, and they will help you sell your book. All right. Um, Another one. There's one that when I first did real estate, the person who was in charge of that group had a book called Walking with the Wise, and it was basically him and a bunch of thought leaders. And now that I'm thinking of their names, they're all people who've fallen out of favor in society. So I'm not going to name them, but you know, it's like as if you had an opportunity to. Well, you know what? Les Brown and Dr. Cheryl Wood, um, she did an anthology with Les Brown. I've been in a couple of those, which has just been phenomenal projects where you've got her picture and his picture on the cover, and then you've got your chapter. So that's an anthology. You didn't write it cover to cover, but you and a bunch of others together wrote it. Another person who put together some of the best anthologies was Laditra White, and I was in I think two of her anthologies, and just powerful projects. Okay, I think it's called This is my story, but it's not my life. Oh, powerful, powerful, powerful. Okay, so when you're in an anthology, it's a great way to get started. It's also for me, like me, I've published what 12 books cover to cover, right? Like I've written a lot. Like y'all can tell, I have a lot of words. I have a lot of words to say. I have a lot of words to write. Um, some some I consider it a fault. I'm choosing to look at it as a blessing, right? So why on earth would somebody like me be involved in an anthology? Well, I love being parts of anthologies because I get to meet more speakers, and I get to meet more authors, and I get to meet more people that I could potentially collaborate with later. See, when I started my Building Wealth Together podcast, at first I was doing all the talking, and I was good with that because I thought I had something to say, y'all. But then as time grew, and now we're in episode what 225 or two something. We're in episode two something, 200 and something. Now that we're that far along, I've realized that I deliver a much richer experience for my audience by incorporating other people's voices and interviewing other people, right? So so I love being in an anthology for that reason. Okay, I don't pay for them as much anymore as I used to, um, because I don't need the exposure as much as I used to, right? But if somebody invites me in, I'll jump in, But the problem with an anthology is one, it's not your name on the cover. Now, one of the things I will give a shout out to Women Speakers Association, I participated in an anthology with them, and I loved the process because they not only taught you how to do your chapter, but they taught you how to interview and really milk your interview on stage. And they had like a series of videos that teach you all about how to maximize your chapter. And so that's what gave me the inspiration for this little blurb. I can't possibly distill 6 months of training that they give you down into 5 minutes on my training today, right? But I'm giving you some of the juiciest tidbits about interviews and things like that. Like I've given you some of those things already. But when you have an anthology, sometimes booksellers, book clubs, sometimes places don't want you to highlight that, and I was in charge of I was well, not in charge. I was one of the volunteers for a very large book club for a while, and I had somebody who said they were the author, and they didn't get me a copy of their book until like the day before we were supposed to do their thing, and it was an anthology. And then the next one that I had already booked was an anthology, and then the third one was a cover to cover. But the leader of the group made a comment about, well, we really want to get some authors and not just anthology writers, and offended the person that I had just interviewed. And so then that had domino effect to some of my other interviews. But that's really, sometimes I'm not trying to be mean about it or anything, because I love anthologies, but some people don't consider that the same. And so if you've got an anthology and you might be facing that resistance, here's some things that you can do. One, oh, I didn't finish saying one of the things that the WSA did. One of the things that WSA did is it was an anthology, but they put your name and the lead editor's name on the front cover. So even though it was an anthology of 40 ladies, or however 20 ladies, I think it was, every one of them got their own version of the cover. And that cover included my name and Gail's name. And somebody else's included Gail's name and that other author's name, right? And so even though it wasn't my own book, I had my name down there, okay? If you can get into a deal like that, or if you can get permission from the person who published it to render your own edition through Kindle or whatever, then you might be able to do that. But that leads you to one of the problems with the anthologies. If you're not the editor, you're not the one on Kindle, well, then you're not the one that made the money. Okay. And so, you're not going to make a lot of money with an effective anthology um, launch on Kindle, because a lot of times an effective launch is going to be 99 cents. And, of that, you're going to get 14, maybe 30 cents. I mean, come on, let's be real here. If you've got 100 sales of that book, you've made $3. You've made what? $38. That's not a whole lot for as much work as it takes to have a best-selling launch on Amazon. Okay, so but when you raise the price after that, future books that are sold, you don't make much. And so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can talk on your chapter. You can market your chapter. You can do a one sheet featuring your book. And oh, I wish my camera was on, because you could see me holding this book up, right? You could market this book, and you can market your chapter, and you can do the same process, but just with your chapter. Now, when people get the book, they'll understand that it's everybody, right? But you don't have to let that stop you. If you've got a meaningful something to say that's going to bless somebody's life, let it bless somebody's life, okay? Another thing you can do, I love this, and I saw Sabrina Lowry do that, and I was like, wow, I've never seen anybody do this the way she did, and I'm taking notes. When I see excellence, I'm gonna take a note. And I saw what she did the last anthology I was in. She got that anthology as part of a book club. She put together an entire event, bringing in authors from out of town, bringing in the head editor from out of town. I mean, she did it up, y'all. It was world class. And I had to participate via Zoom. But I tell you one thing, I said, oh, I have never done that before, but you better believe I'm gonna do something like that now. I mean, she created a whole event. And you can take these events and create Facebook lives, Instagrams, Instagram reels. I mean, you can do LinkedIn interviews. There are all these different social media things you can do, and you put it together. Now you're leading fellow authors in a way that benefits you and them, but it's your content. It's on your YouTube channel, and it's got your copy, your ad copy with your link to your book. Which leads me to the last one that I'm going to recommend. Now, again, that the times that I've been trained on how to do anthologies and how to maximize them, they're generally a 6-month training process. Okay, and each editor I've worked with has done it a different way, and I can't give you all of that tonight, right? So I'm giving you the juiciest ones that are something you can implement. There's other juicy things you could do, but it may take more time and effort and connections to implement. But all y'all can implement these, what I'm giving you right here today, okay? And one of the things that I cringe when an author doesn't do this, and I admit there's been times I've been too busy and didn't do it myself, is is not putting together a pre-order page. When you come on my podcast and we're going to talk about your book, I want to see that pre-order page, because usually we're doing the podcast and it's going to be before your book launches. I want to see that pre-order page. I want to know that you've got somewhere to take my money. When I hear how good your book is, I want to go buy it. And maybe it's not ready yet, but you can have a pre-order page. Now, now if you're publishing an anthology and it's your chapter, but it's somebody else's book on Kindle, okay? Then what you can do is you can create your own page for the book. Now you can create it for free on Facebook. There's free website creators like Wix. You can get you a free WordPress site. I mean, they're not going to be www.yourbookname.com, but they could be like yourbookname.wordpress.com, Facebook/yourbookname. Okay. So, I don't want you to spend $500 on a website. I don't want you to spend $100 on a website till you know the concept works, right? Y'all know I'm big on that. Test the concept first before you outlay all that cash. Test the concept first. But you can create those pages. You can create it for free, or if you're like me and you know how to build websites, or you have somebody that can build them for you at a reasonable cost, you create the pre-order page, you take the pre-orders, and now you know how many books to order. Okay? So when we do Healing My Sisters, everybody puts their chapter in. There's different costs. If you're a speaker in Healing My Sisters, you don't have to pay, because you already paid me to be in the conference, and that's part of your fee. But if you need editing, now you got to pay for the editor, because I'm not editing it for you, because that costs me time and money, so you got to reimburse, right? Or you do it on your own, that's fine. But if you're coming in from outside, well, maybe you're gonna pay, I don't know, $300, $599, depending. I mean, $999, depending on who's collaborating with us. I mean, Les Brown, you're gonna pay $2,500, right? You're gonna pay $4,000. But then once the book is produced and you get your copies, then if you want to order more, what do I normally charge? $5 a book in minimums of 10, right? So you don't want to order 50 books if you don't know you're going to sell 50 books. So you create your pre-order page, and your pre-order page can be a couple of different ways. If you've got a free page like I mentioned, you've got your own paid web page or someone to design it, you could even take payment. If you don't have a payment set up and you're like, I don't have PayPal, I don't have Stripe, I don't have Square, all of those can be set up fairly easily. They do take a little bit of time and effort, but you can go into your mailing list software, like a MailChimp, which is free, or an Active Campaign if you want to get fancy, or a Keep, which used to be called Infusionsoft, I believe. And you can set up um, a little form. You could even use a Google form, and Google Forms are free, and they're fairly easy as well. They even have templates you can use for what somebody else has done in the past. And it may not collect their money, but then you can see what the interest is, and once you get your payment gateway set up, then you can invoice them and get their money. Okay, I prefer to get the money up front, because I want the money before I order the book. And I used to do that on Avon. Like, you were gonna have to order through the website, because I wasn't trying to deliver stuff and then you say you don't want it. You can make that between you and Avon. I wasn't trying to make that. And the same with the books. Like, if I'm gonna order it, I want to know that people want it, and I want to know they've paid for it. See, what a lot of us do that lose money on writing a book is we think our cover is amazing because we designed it ourselves. I've done this, and then it falls flat. Or we think this tagline is amazing, we think this and that is amazing, and it falls flat. And sometimes things fall flat, but you won't know if they fall flat till you test the audience. Okay, so your pre-order page helps you to do that. All right, so those are some ways you can maximize an anthology. All right, so now before we close up, I'm going to give you some other great ideas. And you've heard me mention several times tonight about create your own. You can create your own anything to sell books. You can create your own book fairs. I've done that. And you can get banners made fairly cheaply. Um, I have many times gotten other authors together to be part of my book fair, Black Book Fair, Women's Book Fair, entrepreneur, no, not entrepreneur. What else did we do? Wealth Book Fair, like all these different things. It's all about getting people to come see my book. And you say, well, why on earth would you want to compete with these other authors? Well, these other authors have their own audiences. And if I create a book fair and I let each of us get up for a minute, well, now I get up in front of their audience. Now, granted, they get up in front of my audience, and I've had that happen, right? Like we're not trying to poach each other's audiences, but if they're getting blessed, they're getting blessed, okay? And so you create the avenue of blessing. Then not only are you the author, but you're also the leader, okay? You can also create your own conferences. There have been times where I've created my own conferences, like I said before. And what did I do? I used books. I used my book as a VIP upgrade. So you come to the conference for $25. If you want the VIP upgrade, it's going to come with a swag bag that includes a book. It's another $25. Okay? I might only have made $20. I might only have made sold for another $10 on Amazon. Of that, I might have made $1, right? So this way is more money in my pocket, especially if I'm able to get other speakers to donate to the swag bags. And then it's a nice bag with a book and some other really nice swag. Okay. You can create your own book signings. We already talked about that at length tonight. Creating your own other events. And there are so many different events that you can create. You can create trade shows. You can create um, something for kids and have your books there. You can create something for any group, really. You can host another conference, or I put conference in there. So I put conferences in there. Another way on conferences is you put the conference together and you vend at your own conference. Okay, so that's another way to sell books. Um, but you can put together classes. Okay, one of the biggest ways that I sold 40 dates in 4 months was by hosting um, singles dinners and then selling the book at the singles dinner. Okay, so you can put together events. So if you've got what, another thing I've done for some of my money books, I've gone to different places where I'm traveling to speak or going for a church convention or something like that. I've booked a room at the library and done a class and sold books at the class. So you can do that. Another one that I thought this was ingenious, I've seen several authors do this, um, is that you create your own book club. You create your own book club and you get somebody else to run it for you to help you interview speakers and stuff like that. And then when your book releases, boom, you're up next, right? That's another brilliant strategy for helping to get your book sold and make your first $1,000 with your book. Okay. We talked about book fairs. I don't know why that was on there because we already talked about it. Trade shows. Trade shows are fun. You have trade shows, you have farmers market, night markets. Now, some farmers markets will not let you sell something that's published because that's not created. They want you to sell things that you've grown. But there are a lot of markets out there, even if they call themselves farmers market, that will let you sell your stuff. And so you want to be aware of that and you want to maximize that and you want to ask around and you know what? You can create your own. I had a friend who created her own trade show. And I sure did book a booth. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people, traded and bartered a lot of books and sold a lot of books. One time I put together a domestic violence event. It was when we did the first Healing My Sisters. I actually used her trade show, booked a booth at her trade show because my original venue fell through. It got closed or something. At the last minute, I needed a place and she let me come in there. So I moved my event, my domestic violence event, to her trade show and sold the books at the trade show. Okay. And then also you can solicit book clubs to read your book. You can solicit book clubs. And then there's a lot of other places that I didn't put on here. In fact, if you'll just humor me for a second, I'm actually going to add this in here because I think that's what I meant instead of book fairs. I meant speaking, um, not selling, like Rotary example, Rotary. I wonder if can you guys see that as I type? Yeah, okay, there it is. Okay. So I think that's what I really meant to put there because that's a big one. So there's a lot of places where you can go as a speaker, a lot of chambers, Rotary Club. Rotary Club, I know for sure you can't sell in, but a lot of places you go to where you can't sell, but they're always looking for speakers to come in and talk about something of importance for 10 to 15 minutes. And it's even better if it's something that impacts the community. So you can come in and talk about whatever you talked about in your chapter. Now, you're not necessarily selling the book, but here's the thing. If people like what you have to say, then and you're able to give out a business card, well, the business card can be about your book and the book can be on what you talked about and boom, now you have some additional interest. So I love these kinds of things. I love these kinds of ideas, and I hope that this has been very helpful to you. Now, again, this has been about how to make your first $1,000 writing a book. There are additional strategies if you're trying to get to the $10,000 point. You're trying to get make this a full time life, if you're trying to make this a full-time business, of course there's other strategies that you're going to want to use. But these things that I've given you today, they will show you, they will help you make your first $1,000 writing a book without going into debt. And in many cases, you can execute the strategies that I've given you today without any outlay of cash at all. Do I think that some people can make much more money if they have an outlay of cash? Sure. I think if you effectively spend your marketing dollars, you effectively, hire better editors and better cover designers and better fill in the blank, then yes, you would more likely make more money off of the project. But if you're just trying to get something going and you're just trying to build some breathing room in your life, then these techniques that I've given you will show you how to make that first $1,000 without having to come out of pocket and going deeper into debt or deeper into despair over how you're going to pay it for what you have done. That's all I've got for you tonight. I'm thankful for those of you who've hung on, even though I can't figure out how to get the camera working. And I want to thank those of you who are on the free conference call as well. This is one of my favorite things to do is come with you every Thursday night and talk about how to take charge of your financial future. And I'm very thankful that you hung with me. Y'all take care and be blessed.